Did you know that fewer than 10% of men say they'd have the guts to go talk to a woman they find attractive in a cafe? It surprised me too, but it's true. Most of us get flustered, feel inadequate, and do nothing. I was one of them, silent suffering behind smiles and small talk, dreading rejection. But I didn't want to be silent forever, so I broke my fear into pieces, in a way that actually works. If you've ever attempted to walk up to her but just couldn't bring yourself to do it, this video is for you. Today, I'll guide you through the steps of how I overcame that crippling fear using a technique proven by psychology and used by introverts who became fearless. No covert tricks, no surprise miracle, just genuine steps to take today. So if you're ready for a breakthrough, join me. This could revolutionize everything. Let's begin. Shaming yourself doesn't alter your courage muscle, it contracts it. I tried that trick for years. Come on, be a man. Go up there and say something to her. But it worked against me every time. You convince yourself you're weak. You make your way through the day in a bad mood. And the next time, you feel smaller still. That's because your brain now equates rejection with punishment. In its place, what changed my life, and might change yours, is something called systematic desensitization, a science-backed, step-by-step technique used by mental health practitioners to dissolve fear. It works because it builds strength gradually. Not by pretending you're fearless, but by safely increasing your discomfort, training your brain to respond differently. Here's how it started with me. I just asked random women the time or the way. No pounding heart, no social risk. Just 3 seconds of, "Excuse me." 15 times in, the fear disappeared. That didn't fix everything, but it taught me progress starts small. Your mind acknowledges that fear does not always have to be destructive. Every little task rewrote your fear response so you no longer feared you were calm, curious, and capable. In the second part, I'll show how I advanced to compliments and small talk, and what happened when I did. It's not hype, it's research-based, practical, and it builds confidence brick by brick. Once I realized the little things could change my mood, the next step was easily done but not without work. It wasn't so much asking directions or asking for the time anymore. It was about actually talking, making eye contact, staying at a good voice level, being present even when I was scared. This second phase of desensitization wasn't flirting. It was showing myself that I could take the initiative for a human moment without getting stuck. So I changed the question. Instead of "Where's the nearest ATM?" I began inquiring about food. "Hi, do you know where there are good places around here?" The answer didn't matter. The concept was repetition. Every conversation was a rep in the gymnasium of confidence. And the more I practiced, the more I realized something profound. Women aren't intimidating your own mind. Psychologists call this social fear distortion, where your brain invents worst-case scenarios that almost never happen. You're not afraid of rejection, you're afraid of the story you've built around it. But most women, they're great. They're human. They don't need perfection. They don't need a line. They just need to be present. And most guys never give them that. The more I leaned in, the more I realized when I was being myself, they relaxed. When I was genuinely interested, they mirrored that. And over time, something shifted within me. I stopped approaching out of pressure and started approaching out of curiosity. That was when it was easier, because it was real. No play acting, no deception, just one human crossing paths with another. Then, of course, there was the compliment I had been avoiding. This was the part I waited the longest to do, to say something real, something authentic without a reason behind it. No question to begin with, no excuse to be there, just presence and just compliment. I recall the event itself. It wasn't staged. I hadn't practiced it in front of the mirror like some sort of mannequin experiment. I just stared at her, breathed in, and said, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you, you've got a great smile." Then I just turned around and walked away. Not because I was afraid of what she'd say, but because I wasn't doing it to get something. That was when I turned around. Complimenting someone isn't a weakness. It's confidence without strings. It's releasing results. It's reclaiming your right to appreciate beauty without needing mutual approval. That one instant flipped something in my nervous system. Not because she smiled in return, but because I demonstrated to myself that I was able to speak what I felt without shame, without wincing, without withdrawing into silence. Introverts all fear the same thing: exposure. That feeling that the moment you utter a single word, you'll be judged, rejected, misunderstood. But truth has frequency, and when you can speak from that place, no games, no pickup lines, no agenda, people sense it. That night didn't end with a number. It didn't need to. It was the start of something inside of me, something that couldn't be fixed. Because when you say what's real and you make it through, you grow up. And once that piece of me came alive, it didn't want to die again. I once believed that getting a number was the final boss. It felt so heavy, like some massive emotional gamble. Do it wrong, and I'd be exposed. Say nothing at all, and I'd be stuck in position. So I avoided it again and again until I realized this. The only thing that made it so terrifying to ask for a number was what I put on it. It wasn't a task. It was how much significance I put on it. The thought that this moment somehow defined me, that her yes validated my worth, and her no was devastating. Once I removed that, it was easy. Not easy, easy. There was this girl at a bookstore cafe. We sat and talked for 2 minutes, books, coffee, and easy conversation. I stopped, gave her a hard look, and said, "Hey, I've really liked this. If you're willing, I'd love to get your number." And I did. Not for appearance, not because I was desperate, but because I was respectful of the connection and comfortable with whatever came after that. She smiled. "Give me your number." That was it. No pyrotechnics, no spark of interior doing the happy dance, just quiet and clarity. Because this wasn't about her. This was about the man I had become. And that's what most men fail to see. You don't develop confidence and then act. You act, and confidence is the byproduct in the trail. When you no longer require the outcome no longer exists. You're no longer performing, you're expressing. That's the alchemy of authentic presence. It doesn't chase, it invites. Here's the truth nobody tells you. The fear never goes away. It still shows up in new moments in different cities at random times, sometimes subtle, sometimes loud, but here's what changes. You no longer listen. I used to think courage meant never feeling fear, that one day I'd be so confident I'd never hesitate again, but that's not how this works. Real confidence is approaching what previously held you back and smiling in spite of it, not because your inner voice is quiet, but because you no longer gave it control. You don't overcome fear by destroying it, you overcome it by creating something bigger right next to it. Repetition, experience, and self-respect. Fear was once louder than my will. Now it's just noise. I still remember the first time I walked away from a beautiful lady out of choice, not out of fear, but because I didn't need to prove anything. I liked the peace more than the chase. That was when I knew I was free. You won't always be brave, but you'll be honest. You won't always spin the perfect anecdote, but you'll spin the truth. And that sets you apart. Not because you had all the answers, but because you had enough to start living without fear as a filter. If this spoke to you, it's your turn now. You've seen what's possible. You've heard the real process. So the only thing left is action. Don't just keep watching. Go try it. One step and one moment of truth. And if you're interested in going further with this, if you're interested in building real connection and talking with presence, not with panic, watch this next. How I destroyed social awkwardness as an introvert. Because conversation's not about loudness, it's about authenticity, and that's when everything shifts.